I'm going to be talking about speech and language disorders in children, their causes and the signs to identify them. There can be many causes for speech and language disorders in children, and in my experience, the most common cause is not enough speech and language stimulation at home. The other causes could be premature birth and low birth weight. That again explains that the brain of the child is not fully developed and the speech and language areas that are responsible for speech and language production are not developed enough. A family history of speech and language delay. The other causes could be hearing loss and recurrent ear infections that could lead to articulation and language disorders in children. Apart from these, there are many other causes like syndromes, autism, cerebral palsy, intellectual disabilities that can lead to speech and language delay and disorders in children. Now, there are a few signs that can help parents and teachers to identify early onset of speech and language disorders in children. The most common signs of a speech and a language disorder and delay in children is that the child is not speaking as much as other children and they're not developing speech and language age appropriately. The other signs could be that the child is not able to understand language. Now, most often than not, this is something that is overlooked by parents because they believe that the child is able to understand language but not just able to express it. Now, sometimes what happens is parents tend to use a lot of hand gestures and body movement and body language while they are giving a particular command or talking to their children. So they might probably just say a simple sentence as go get the ball that is behind the cabinet, and they're using gestures and hand movements and body language to say the particular command. So the child is paying more attention to the gestures and the body language and is not focusing on the language as much. So that is something that is overlooked by a lot of us and especially parents and teachers. So another important sign of a speech and language delay and a disorder could be that the child is not having social interactions with his peer group or other children. That could also lead to a lot of behavioral disorders or behavioral manifestations in the child. Another important sign could be that the child is using jargon utterances or jargon speech to convey their needs to their parents. So they have their own kind of language. They're not using a proper set of rules or proper language to convey themselves. So frustration boils could be one of the most eminent and important sign that the child is not able to express themselves, and that is the reason that they are developing temper tantrums. So if your child is identified with a speech and language disorder, it does not mean that your child is abnormal. It just means that your child needs some extra help to help them communicate effectively.